6 years ago, Leah and I got married, and we were living in Michigan, leading our church there, living in our first home. We had our first baby, and God began to put a dream in our hearts. I realized something that blew me away, that in the 1940s, for the first time ever, world population growth hit 1 billion people. It took all of world history to get to 1 billion, and since then, we've had about another billion for every decade. Today, there's almost 7 billion people alive on planet Earth. And I started wondering, where are all of those people living? And realized about the same time that in the year 2008, again, for the first time ever, more than 50% of the people in the world were living in the major cities of the world. And if current projections hold up, in about another 20 years, 5 billion people will be living in the major cities of the world. And it seems like God is doing something, that there's more people than ever before, and God is moving them to these special, strategic cities. And we started to think, man, maybe we need to be a part of that.
So we really began to pray, what does this mean for us personally? And after several months of really praying through that, we really felt like God was saying to us that we needed to move our house, take our then 1-year-old daughter, and move away from our family to a major city in the United States. And after several more months of prayer, it became clear that that was South Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So we took our daughter, moved into a traditional South Philly row home in September 2010. We felt definitely a little bit like underdogs moving to a city where we didn't know anybody, but we quickly found that we were in the city of underdogs, and so we felt right at home.
We've fallen in love with Philly. We love our street, love the people, love the toughness of the city. We love the food. You know, I love the history of the city. Philly is a city where historically a lot of innovators and creative people have gathered to launch grand experiments. Our nation's first zoo, our nation's first police department, our nation's first fire department, our nation's first hospital was here in Philly. In fact, two of our kids were born in that hospital. And it's this place of just innovation and grand experimentation.
One of those experiments is Eastern State Penitentiary right up in Fairmount. And it was really interesting to me when I first learned about it, because it was the first time that a penitentiary was formed instead of just a prison, with a desire to not just punish prisoners, but to reform them and to teach them a new way of life and living. And that was our hope for City Life Church when we planted it, that God would be able to take lives that were lost without Him and transform us and reform us into something new, life-giving, amazing that only He can do.
So when we moved to South Philly, we decided just to launch our own grand spiritual experiment, and we started City Life Church in September of 2011. We had our very first service in a high school in South Philly and opened the doors of the church to people from every walk of life, no matter what your spiritual background may be, religious background may be, racial or economic background may be, and people began to come. We started the church with one simple mission, so that the one far from God will be filled with life in Christ, and organized the church around a very simple model of spiritual growth. Our goal is to love God, love people, and prove it.
So the way that we carry that out, our strategy is Sunday mornings, we want to create an incredible God party right here in the city, where we get to learn together more about God, we get to worship Him, we get to just spend time falling more and more in love with Him and having an amazing time doing it. And then to love people and love our neighbors around us, that second part of the strategy, our hope is to create life groups, which meet throughout the city. It's a group of about 8 to 15 people where you just get to do life together. You'll learn more about God, talk more about what that means, particularly in our life and in our relationships and in our families and at our school, at our jobs, and just get to learn how to love each other better the way that God intended.
Yeah, and then third, we want to prove it. We want to put feet to our faith, and that's why we're building a dream team. And the dream team are the heroes of City Life. It's people who are serving Jesus and serving the city throughout the week in dozens and dozens and dozens of creative ways. It's one thing that grabs our heart when we see the disparity in Philadelphia. When I walk down a street and see on one side of the street $1 million home, and on the other side of the street poverty, and look downtown and see these huge buildings that just stand as a reminder of the passion we have in America to make money, and realize that we're just within shouting distance of the second hungriest congressional district in the United States. And so we want to make a difference. We want our presence here to be felt. So today, City Life has grown into a vibrant, thriving church in Philadelphia, and we're seeing people come in from every economic background, racial background, to be a part of City Life Church. And our dream is to build this church so that it's alive and it's friendly and relational and compassionate and reproducible and reproducing all over this city. And so no matter where you may be coming from, no matter what your spiritual religious background may be, maybe you're just starting to rediscover a spiritual curiosity in your own life, maybe you're longing for a sense of community or family here in the city, maybe you just want to be a part of something that's bigger than you, that's making a difference in the city. We would love to invite you to come and be a part of the family that is City Life and help us build this dream together.